Hey everyone! So, how are you all doing? Hope you're healthy, happy, smiling in 2022. Welcome to another episode of Know the Happiness How with Winco Chau. I'm your friend, host, and resident lifestyle strategy coach, Wing Commander Satyendra Chauhan, aka Winco Chau from Bangalore, India. And yes, I'm back with you on this special day as I sit to record this. Yes, it is International Youth Day. And a big shout out to all the youth who are doing fabulous work in their own respective fields. Be it a journalist, a doctor, an engineer, an environmentalist, an artist, a stage person, somebody behind the scenes, and I mean, the list is endless. So, cheers, you guys. Keep doing the great work. Yes, that is where the future lies. So, I'm also excited to jump into the brass tacks right away. Yes, brass tacks of happiness that I'm kind of excited to share with you. But it would only be fair to cover some basic ground in respect of understanding happiness before we get there. And yes, before I start, a disclaimer. The subject of happiness is vast, very subjective. And we have in our own arenas, enough knowledge and experience to define what happiness is. In different contexts, different situations, I find it slightly difficult to define happiness because in our brain and its biological functions, it is difficult to quantify most of the psychological and behavioral sciences, which actually are rooted in theory. So, while many theories are widely accepted to be true, there is no concrete proof or evidence of any single theory being infallibly correct. Also, behavioral and cognitive aspects of humans are quite subjective. We all know that they are generic in nature and based on long list of variables. And thus, it is better to examine it on case to case basis in the given context and not on one size fits all basis. So, what I am speaking to you about today is the gist actually of my reading, research, application, learning experience, and its refinement over the years. So, now let's try and understand why do we call human nature or the behavior very subjective. It's very simple. No two individuals are same. No context, that is, no two contexts are same, or no two situations, events, or people are same. So there is no single answer that applies to this subject of human behavior at hand. And here too, we find different takes and schools of thoughts which dwell into various aspects, whether it be biological, physical, mental, emotional, or yes, to a larger extent, quite spiritual also. Neurologists, psychologists, behavioral scientists, experts, social scientists, scholars, spiritual preachers, leaders, thinkers, speakers have all presented, professed, and propagated different facts, theories, and ideas. Whether it is a component of positive emotions, that is happiness I'm talking about now, is it love, affection, joy, beauty, or the component of satisfaction, contentment, accomplishment, drawing a line somewhere there? So, and also if it is tangible or intangible. And what is the impact of various environmental aspects, be it philosophy, culture, or the subtle aspects of values, ethics, and how do these impact happiness? So, considering the vastness of the subject and the paucity of time that we have at our hand, and also not to kind of bore you and make you, switch off or kind of change the channel from here, instead of liking and sharing it, I would want to limit myself to mostly what I have learned, kind of tested it on ground with me, with people around me, in my own behavioral aspects, and in the environment that I live in. Growing up in the multiculture, in the military, yes, that is where my background is, you all know it. And now, yes, in the civil stream, the cosmopolitan culture that we're living in, and whatever is relevant to the resilient lifestyle that I profess. So, going further, what I was doing while I was preparing, and time and again I do that I look at the various aspects in terms of data available in the public domain, which is from the reliable sources. So, reading very recent happiness report, World Happiness Report actually, which was measuring the tangible aspects like housing, health, education, employment, pension, life expectancy, living conditions, quality of life, housing, environment, and other aspects of economic, social, and political stability to kind of look at the happiness quotient of the world, besides the aspects of the intangible issues, or if I may call them intangible factors, like positiveness, open mindedness, generosity, and connecting with people, community bonding, the belongingness, the ownership with the environment, in the environment, the work-life balance, a very important aspect today, the diversity, the tolerance factor, the acceptance, and all kind of important aspects of the overall well-being. When you look at those aspects of happiness, you generally find that they are dominant going by the Maslow's theory of and at the basic levels. They certainly are, those levels or those parameters dominate. That is social security, maybe low crime rates, negligible amount of corruption, people looking at high life expectancy, a very sound healthcare system, and offering certain, top of the world medical services, latest ones, very well planned and organized education system prevailing in the region, in the country, in the state, everywhere. So, and yes, looking at the development in terms of sufficient infrastructure facilities, also the education that really kind of makes people environmentally conscious, makes them open minded, makes them more generous, or other factors that keep people satisfied or happy. Like, I was looking at one of the countries which really doesn't have a standing army, looking at the high GDP of a country, minimum wage rates that are prevailing in a country, and which are relatively high in terms of comparison at different developed or underdeveloped world. Socially, yet very secure, rich natural wealth, clean environment that really boosts of the satisfaction levels among its citizens. And citizens focus on high environmental standards. Those are being provided to them with plenty of clean air and clean water to drink, and very hardly anything, or so to say, substantially very little to complain about. So all these aspects really lift your happiness quotient. And what matters actually is the peace that one feels in the loving nature, the environment, in kind of striking a good balance with their work and personal life, less working hours, or spending more quality time with family, friends, after working hours, during the work relationships, healthy environment where there is openness, there is transparency, whether it is within the family, among children and parents, siblings, friends, which is more communicative, where the pressures are very low, and especially the pressures of performance, be it in your workplace, be it for the children studying, or the relationship factors. So you're not under any kind of pressure, And those are the things which really lift your happiness quotient. And yes, how am I forgetting the love of nature and the urge to spend time outdoors? That is one of the important aspects of my life. And also, yes, if one can afford, take vacations to keep your life stress free, which is, mostly believed that kind of brings in the optimism in the people. So, on the whole, it is the economic stability and security, high wages, honest governments, low levels of corruption, high literacy rates, keeping people relatively stress free, while low socioeconomic gap among the population, well equipped healthcare, education, other infrastructural facilities, they all serve or rather are sufficient for a population to raise their satisfaction level. It is also the important denominator of that satisfaction and happiness, and which, when viewed broadly with the high tolerant societies where people are supportive of multiculturalism, they share strong community bonds. So these are a lot of positive aspects of life, and overall, uh, what I say is the positive attitude towards life, which makes people happier in the world. Also, the other day, I was looking at another data for happiness across the world, and it said, "How happy are we today?" And when I was looking at that atlas, it kind of gave me the global picture, which was slightly dim, and actually kind of was reflective of saying that you could be happy only if you are living far flung, maybe in Greenland, Iceland, or further up, or maybe in Siberia. I mean, so to say, away from the hustle bustle of life. And that was one of the reasons of staying happy. Anyway, so with that kind of prelude and foreground, if I may ask you, have you ever wondered, despite achieving all the material success, like I said, it is the basic needs, the so called happiness, uh, is it still existing? Does it happen that we still feel the void despite having all the material comforts, feel negative, dissatisfied, unfulfilled, or devoid of that true happiness, peace, calm, joy, inner beauty? So, I mean, I really leave that for you to answer. Uh, and what I feel, that the answer certainly is that happiness, in quite a way, is an elusive concept. So, why do we call it an elusive concept? Because of its numerous definitions. And yet, if in the hindsight, if you look at this looseness in the definitions actually gives us the scope to have those different ideas going good for us. So, and again, the next why is why is this different ideas or the looseness in this definition giving us those ideas for us to ponder upon? So, but to me, it has been kind of you know being with the family, in the company of friends, being healthy, sharing good relationships, have a maybe ample amount of food and things to drink around, be in the company of near and dear ones. Emotionally, uh, too, you have your moments of bliss. Sometimes you feel on cloud line, and there are phases where uh, I feel on top of the world, even with little means and times which may not be too great. And it also happens that despite all the material comfort, there are times if you do not have good health, good relationship, or you're not at peace with yourself, your work relationships are strained. There is a lot of pressure, performance pressure, if I may call it. So you end up lying on the pillow and looking at the ceiling and wondering as to why this inconsistency. Despite feeling happy, why are you feeling negative? Or sometimes, despite feeling satisfied, why are you not feeling happy? It could happen in various stages of human life. So looking at all that, the mostly feel, or most of the times I feel that the happiness is not so elusive. Yes, you may call it a good news. Contrary to the belief that it is, happiness is elusive. I feel happiness is not really elusive, but like anything else in life, it is also not innate. There are a lot of innate qualities that you have, and among them, there are a lot of emotions, those are subdued. Yet the happiness is really not innate, and nobody can give it to you. One has to really work for it. So why then should you have to work for happiness if there are other qualities that are innate to you? Like kind of appreciating goodness, honoring the honesty, or showing good integrity, sharing compassion, uh, being empathetic, or sharing goodness, sharing knowledge, sharing a laugh. Why is that you have to kind of work for happiness? If I feel, if you shouldn't have to work for it, but if you're not happy, reality is that life can only hand you lemons, and you're going to do some work to make lemonade out of it. So no one else is going to do it for you. And then you can certainly, and actually you should, kind of get to work giving yourself that knowledge and experience. So, with time, that certainly will come when this comes on your priority, and you, in order to live with the lasting feeling of emotional satisfaction, peace of mind, calm, appreciating joy, beauty, inner beauty, and the overall contentment that can bring you a sustainable happiness that uh, we all know we deserve. So now, really coming on to this, the aspect is of understanding the foundational pillars that I had spoken of in my earlier episode. If you remember, or if you not, go visit the previous episode of Happiness in 2022, and you will find that where there I'm talking of certain foundational pillars of the need or the requirement of essentials of life. So, and yes, as I go ahead, do not forget that if you're enjoying this and you certainly are deriving some value, do like, share, and share with people who might, benefit from this. So, yes, going ahead, I feel that all those foundational pillars are generally centered around five W's. Yes, the capital W's and one H. And now, what are those five W's and one H? Yes, there could be many for people, or there could be lesser for some. Yet for me, it is why, what, who, when, where, and most importantly, an often unexplained factor with respect to all these is that H, or how. So, with that question for you to ponder, or kind of do little homework to find answers in your own free time, I take a break, and I will certainly return in the next week with my understanding of these five W's and one H with respect to sustainable happiness. But before I go, let me touch up briefly and refresh your memory on the four foundational pillars of human need if you really haven't watched the episode. But that shouldn't be an excuse not to watch that episode or not to listen to that. Yes, we are available on Spotify and iTunes and Action, everywhere, host of platforms. Please go ahead and tune in, and look in the description below for where to find us. So, going ahead with the four pillars of human life, the first one is health, which is basic to us. related to the basic reality of securing our lives to live a healthy life with ease. It's all about well-being in the mind, body, and spirit, if I may say. Second is about wealth, your income, your profession, everything that is ensuring the other basic safety, security, and stability needs of human life, taking away those uncertainties that keep lingering over us, not to kind of take that happiness away or keep us insecure. So securing an occupation could be one. Learning to secure an occupation could be another one. And prospering, flourishing in all walks of life. That is whatever profession that you choose in. Besides, securing shelter and maybe drawing enough to make sure that everyone around you or dependent on you are happy in terms of material with them. It could be your income, it could be the property, the riches, the wealth. Next, and very important, and the intangible aspect of love and relationships. So it's all about living being and belonging needs, or the bonding needs, the ownership that you feel coming from these relationships, and all about your family, friends, near and dear ones, uncle, auntie, kith, kin, and siblings, etc., etc. And yes, the recent is the social connect that you all or we all derive around us in the terms of information age, with our homes, community, and society, or the world at large. So the last one and the most important, as I keep saying, is all about the quality of life that you live. That is the balance that you strike between the earlier mentioned three elements, living your routine life. Fundamentally, it is looking after your health, managing affairs at your occupation, work, profession, maintaining relationships with your family, friends, colleague, social circle, spending your money on eating good food, healthy habits, or maybe splurging it, or doing charity, working for community, society, going on a holiday, vacation, pilgrimage, or whatever that you want to call it. And yes, sharing the worldly joys of beauty, pleasure, happiness with all near and dear ones. So, with those, basic information on the aspects of happiness, I draw near the end of this episode. Hope I could add some value to your understanding of happiness, and add some value for the time that you've spared watching me, listening to me. And for more on sustainable happiness, tune in next Sunday evening, and do watch and listen in. Till then, keep finding love in your life, joy, beauty, and peace in nature around you. Spend time outdoors, balance your work, your personal life, keep your performance pressures at bay. No need to run behind everything, yes, until you're really that needy. So, ensuring quality time with your family, friends, after working hours, and yes, within working hours also. Keeping a healthy home environment, keeping that openness in communication, keeping that feeling of tolerance and acceptance for everyone. And yes, lastly, nurture the feeling of optimism among the people. So, this is your friend, host, and coach, Wing Commander Satyendra Chauhan, aka Winco Chau, signing off from Bangalore, India. Keep smiling, keep healthy, and keep happy. Bye bye.